This is our nightly kick-around of all things World Cup. Peter Welton, Andy Swift, and Lars on World Cup Kick-Around. Brought to you by Pantalones Organic Tequila, The Wolf of Wall Street, and Sports Radio 96.7 and 1310, The Ticket.
Landon Donovan, there are things on here for the USA. Can they do it here? Cross, and Dempsey is denied again, and Donovan has scored! Oh, can you believe this? Go, go, USA! Certainly through! Oh, it's incredible! You could not write a script like this!
Ah, the good old days. Welcome to World Cup Kick-Around, our fourth run of nightly coverage of the World Cup Finals for America's favorite radio station, 96.7 and 1310 The Ticket, where for the next 40-something days, we will be here every weeknight at 7 p.m. after the hardline, Saturdays 2 to 4 in our normal spot, and then we'll sprinkle in some Sundays too. And if you want all the details about how you can listen to the show via the podcast and everything else, go to our website, thekickaround.com. I'm here, Andy's here, but this time we brought in the big gun from an exotic European location in studio for the entire tournament. It's our favorite football journalist, author, and friend, Lars Sivertsen.
I'm sensing a little bias there, Peter.
Not at all.
There are better football journalists and authors out there. They're just not in this room.
Love you.
Thank you, Peter.
Lars is not only from Europe, but fresh out of his Alto.
Yeah. It's such a way to travel. You kind of have you been following social media now with all the influx of European fans who are baffled by things they have seen? I've been one of them. We talked about this on Saturday, but it's still the thing that the European mind cannot fully fathom is how impossible it is to get around Dallas without a good ride. It's I would be fully doomed without our friends at Alto. And today the traffic was not great, so it made it even better that I was in a very comfortable vehicle.
Rush hour in Dallas.
Yeah, that was a new one for me. But I got here.
Andy,
have you
spied the German who's hitting all the fast food restaurants around here online?
Yes. Following him.
I'm enjoying that. That's the kind of wholesome content I want.
Lars, we are so excited that you are doing the show with us for the entirety of this whole thing. It's pretty great. And getting you here and everybody here. This is, as I said, Andy and I started this show back in 2014 for the Brazil World Cup. And it dawned on me today, Andy, while we've done the last three tournaments, we actually haven't done this nightly thing on the ticket in 8 years because the last tournament was in the winter.
Yeah, sporadic shows in that one.
And and because it was essentially something we were forced to do online and on YouTube because programming wasn't available on the radio station. So this has been 8 years since the last time we've done
P1s aren't familiar with our setup.
Probably not. So we will be here every night, Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. And we got a whole bunch of other stuff. We'll be making some live appearances. It's all going to be a good time because the World Cup kicks off tomorrow. We will preview Group A, which is the one that Mexico's headed up. We'll do all of our World Cup predictions. And yes, we will spend some time talking about the U.S. men's national team and some of the electrically good news we got about the team today. But, Andy, let's start off by just kind of setting the table. With what everybody should expect.
It is here. Let's just first say this. The World Cup is here, but it is here. Like, how long have we been waiting for the World Cup? Like, we lost some bids. We were hoping 2018.
Oh,
we
were
even
hoping going further back.
2022, and we finally got the bid, and then it was waiting and preparing and planning and talking about it. And it kicks off tomorrow, and Sunday we have a game here in our backyard, dude.
It's so ridiculous.
So let's just embrace the moment for a little bit.
Yeah.
And, it's here.
Do you think after 1994, did you walk around thinking, I wonder if we'll get to do that again?
I don't know if I was soccer cognizant of that level.
In 94, Lars, we were hoping professional soccer would return to the U.S. and the league would last more than 3 years.
Yeah.
In fact, because it has, Peter is a millionaire. Story for another time.
Right.
He still has to cash the check, on paper, yes, he's a paper millionaire because of that. But it was much different in '94. We were just hoping soccer would survive, much less a World Cup comes here. And now it's here, and times have changed. It's a different, in terms of soccer, it's a different country. It's truly a burgeoning soccer nation now. 94, it was like the back weeds of soccer.
Yeah.
People are asking, why is the tournament going there?
It's so different.
Yeah.
I mean, people in 94 just didn't even know what the World Cup was, much less what they were buying tickets to.
Right.
But this is to flip the script a little bit. I want to ask you guys questions because you've done so much over the years to further the cause of the sport in this state, in this area, in different ways.
Well,
but it must mean a lot to you guys. This has been so much of your lives that, that the World Cup is coming here again, and a bunch of games is coming to Dallas specifically.
The fact that Dallas is going to host 9 games is pretty special. A semifinal, the IBC, it is kind of the hub of this World Cup. If you add the 6 matches that were played here in 94, we will have hosted, after this World Cup, 15 World Cup matches. That's top 5 city in the history of the World Cup anywhere in the world. Like you have Mexico City, they've hosted 3, Paris, Rio de Janeiro, New York.
Biggest, it's a
Dallas
huge,
is there.
It's a huge honor that I don't think 99% of people that live in DFW are even aware of, and something they should all be
right?
incredibly proud of. Dallas is. I don't know if anybody really. I don't know if we collectively identify ourselves as this, but Dallas-Fort Worth is a soccer community. It is a key soccer community in the United States, both in terms of talent, viewership, participation,
professional teams,
all of that stuff. And so, that's part of the reason for that. Andy and I have been doing this on this radio station for 12 years. So getting to do it for the World Cup for a 4th time is a massive honor. And Lars, we are really delighted that you are here with us again. So Andy, this is your World Cup historian, Andy. What should everybody really be expecting out of a World Cup being played across 3 countries with more teams than ever?
Chaos. It is a very unique or first-time World Cup. A lot of things are happening, right? 3 countries, first time ever, 48 teams, the expansion to 48 teams, first time ever. We've had wild cards before, but it's been a while. There's been 3 previous World Cups where wild cards, best third-place teams advance. So that's kind of newish. By the way, 1 wild card has reached the final before in World Cup history. We'll talk about that in another show. And then the weather, the travel, the altitude. Different World Cups have all those things, but maybe singularly. Maybe there's a World Cup that was known to have weather issues, and one was played in altitude, another one had a lot of travel, but to all those things come together. And then just to make it a little bit crazier, kickoff times, which traditionally have fallen in between a very narrow window, like 10, 12, 2, we have a 12-hour window where kickoff times can happen in this World Cup.
So did the various kickoff times happen in 94 because the tournament again was still played across 4 time zones?
Yes, but games didn't stretch far into the evening. It was late morning because it was all geared towards European broadcast times. Now, as FIFA has tried to expand the global reach of the game, it's already the world's game, but from a broadcast perspective, they are trying to put games at times where the Far East, for example, can watch at a reasonable time.
Right. So there are
not all games, but some games.
There are literally games that are going to kick off Dallas time at 10 p.m. or even 11 p.m.
And at 11 a.m. So, I mean, it's crazy.
It is crazy.
Or 12.
Lars, I'm curious in your perspective, as somebody from Europe, when Andy talks about all of these little intangibles about weather, altitude, time zones, travel, how does that affect you as a lifelong World Cup fan?
I mean, it's the biggest change that's affecting me as a lifelong soccer fan and a World Cup watcher is the number of teams. That's the new one for me. The fact that we have 48, we have all these extra games. I was very skeptical of it in the beginning, and I'm still a little split about it, but maybe this is me just being too hyped at the moment, but right now I'm just kind of looking forward to watching all these games. Like, it is kind of cool that we have some of these new countries involved.
104 games.
Yes, more than any other World Cup, but Lars has made it his mission to watch every minute of every game.
Trying.
If I were a betting man and Lars likes to lay down odds, perhaps we should figure out what your odds are to do that. I would bet no.
I think my spirit is willing and able, but I think the logistics will get in the way.
Yes, like a nice dinner where we're just going to go and...
No, that's not going to be it. Yeah. That's not going to be it. Well, you can bet and then influence the outcome. That's actually not allowed.
Yeah, it'll be the Sweden-Tunisia snoozer in Mexico.
There's another one
Maybe, dear listener, I should let him bet so that he takes me on a very nice dinner.
Yeah, there you go.
No, but realistically, what will happen is it'll be a day we're actually going to a game or a day when we have to get to the show, or it'll happen at some point that is not logistically possible. I think that's what'll trip me up. But I go into it with clean and clear and determined intentions.
But you have the miracle of YouTube TV.
Yeah, I do. I do on my phone. Yeah,
we have.
You're saying recorded rewatch?
Yeah, I can watch it in auto.
Because even on the game, even on the few days where there are games being played at the same time, which is the third stage of the group
stage.
You
double screen.
You just
that's
double.
Absolutely fine. Double screening is no problem.
Mm-hmm.
That's
one eye on each
totally
screen.
legal.
One eye, left eye on this screen, right eye on that screen.
Yeah, you take one out of your skull and you hold it and point it at another one.
Yeah.
Right.
No, actually, the trick for double screening: eyes on one, sound from the other. That's the
Pro
one.
tip.
Wow.
There you go.
Listen up, kids. This is why we have Lars on the show.
That's a guy.
Eyes on one, because then you can hear from the commentator if something's about to happen. You can hear from his tone of voice. So you just flick your eyes up to there, and then you pay attention to the quiet one aside from that.
So
that's how you do it.
We started the show earlier than I was anticipated, so we've got a bunch of extra time.
Yeah. Love that.
Super interesting. So I'm curious. I'm going to ask you both this question, and I'll start with Lars. If there's one part of this World Cup that you are most excited about or focused on, or the overriding thing about this tournament, what is it for you personally? And it can be anything.
I mean, there's an obvious answer to that, and I can try to think of a different... The obvious answer is that we're in it. Norway, come on.
Oh, okay.
We haven't been to a World Cup since 1998. I've lived my entire adult life without us being in the World Cup. Like, I have turned soccer into my whole life. Like, I have a very bad work-life balance. This is like what I spend my time on, and we haven't been to a World Cup in all of that time. So it's very hard to put into words the meaning of that. The listener, the loyal, faithful listener who's going to listen to every show, may notice that on the day Norway plays Senegal, while we are on air, I might not be entirely present. I'll be here
as
in
you
body.
Shouldn't be.
I'll be here in body, but maybe not in mind and spirit.
As you shouldn't be, because World Cup is singular, right, Peter?
Yes!
And that's how it should be.
It'll be on the TV up there, and you guys are going to have to do the heavy lifting on that show. But it is amazing that we're here. And the fact that it's not unlikely that they end up in Dallas. If we finish second in our group, which is probably statistically the most likely outcome, they're heading to Dallas. So,
and who's going to go to that game, Lars? You are.
Apparently I am.
You are going to go to that game. We will get you to that game somehow.
So you say.
Yeah.
Andy, what is the one thing that you have dangling out over your...
For me, it's the obvious one because we live here. The World Cup is
Spending
here.
it with me?
No, we've done that enough.
That's the other thing I was going to say, Peter.
No, but that we have 9 games here, and we get to go and enjoy it in a different way, and we are all part of the soccer movement locally to have been able to help and contribute to get this done and to then go watch that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the fact that Croatia plays here with Croatian heritage, that's kind of cool as well, for sure.
Amazing. Yeah, it's a good time. I think for me, it's the idea that we've hedged our bet, and the idea that I may get to watch my national team play in my city in a knockout game if the U.S. comes second and they are in the round of 32 here.
Yeah. Well, I have a question for you. I've asked you this before. I'm sure you think about this often when you go to sleep, when you wake up. You have a choice.
Don't torch me with this hypothetical.
U.S. finishes first, and I've done the brackets. We've all done the brackets, and they do have an easier path in the other bracket if they finish first. They do. Yeah. I know that you try to tell yourself, well, the round of 32 game will be easier if they finish second. Yes, but after that, it's easier if they finish first. So do you want them to finish first and have that easier bracket into the quarters, and then, you never know what happens? Or do you want them to finish second so you can go watch them but have a tougher run to the quarters?
I'm the selfish part of me, which is dominant, it would say second place.
At least you have self-awareness.
But the good patriot American in me says, go USA, win the group.
All right.
See, I don't have that dilemma because I don't think there's any version of this where Norway finished above France in the group. That seems implausible.
Okay, Lars, have you not watched enough World Cups? We do know.
Mike Eruzione in the Fox commercial tells you this.
We know that in every World Cup, and we'll talk about this more, I know, Peter, but since we have a little bit of time here, let's just reemphasize that. depth will win ultimately, right? A team with a lot of depth will win the World Cup, but there's always one team that we have great expectations for, that are one of the favorites, that kind of dump out early. I don't think it's going to be France because I have them rated pretty high, as does everybody else. Yeah, so I don't entirely disagree, but you never know, right?
We both saw that documentary about what happens when you put a bunch of French athletes in the same hotel for a few weeks, and it's just,
like it seems every World Cup there's drama with the French national team.
It's called The Bus. It's on Netflix. It's really good.
I'm telling you, due to Andy suggesting it, The Bus on Netflix is the opposite of the HBO USA hype promotion video. It's the anti of that. It's so awesome to watch. It's like an hour and a half. I can't recommend it more highly. Okay, we'll stop here. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll start the show not by predictions or going through Group A or talking about the games tomorrow. We'll talk about what everybody here in DFW really cares about, and that is the U.S. men's national team and the really good information. Oh, and before we do that, Let's go with our regular segment. We're going to do this at the end of the opening, and we'll answer it at the end of the show. It's Andy's World Cup quiz time.
All right, kids. Because this is the opening of the World Cup, every host country will play their first game, obviously. Tomorrow it'll be Mexico, and then Friday Canada and the U.S. will all play their opening games in this World Cup. Host nations have played 23 first games in World Cup history. I just want you to tell me how many have lost that first game. How many times has the host nation lost their first World Cup game in the history of the World Cup? And for bonus points, tell me who that is.
What do we win if we get it right?
Pat in the back, and you get to stand right there with Andy and World Cup history expertise.
I love it.
And there's been 22 World Cups played. The reason there are 23 host nations with a result in opening days is because South Korea and Japan were co-host in 02.
Such a World Cup nerd.
So, Lars, be thinking about it. No cheating.
No
by
cheating.
The way.
Don't
no
look
cheating.
it up.
Don't look it up.
None of the P1s looking at their phone.
Don't Google. No ChatGPT. None of that.
Yeah.
ChatGPT would just get it wrong anyway.
You're very correct about that.
I have tried to do some research for ChatGPT for my book. It did not go well.
I have tested ChatGPT with World Cup history stuff. Nope.
I love it. All right. When we come back, we will get into the Yanks and the great news we learned today. Next on World Cup Kick-Around. Well, this whole darn thing kicks off tomorrow with Mexico and South Africa, and we will preview that game and the game that happens later that day, Korea and Czechia, here in about 20 minutes on the Kick-Around. Welcome back to World Cup Kick-Around. I'm here, Andy's here, and Lars is here.
It's a very moving moment for me. That was the music from World Cup '94 from Norway coming in for the intro. This hits deep for me.
Yeah, we've been talking about return music, and Lars and Michael sourced a whole bunch of the theme songs from various national teams over the years. Which one was that?
That was Alt for Norge, All for Norway, which was our song for World Cup '94.
Let me just
very
say
emotional.
That I can't wait till Bosnia plays, because when we preview the Bosnia group, I'm sure we'll play that one that Lars found online.
Yeah, crazy.
Yes. That one is something.
There's some good stuff coming at you this summer, dear listeners.
All right, we will do the smart thing and start the show officially with talk of U.S. men's national team. And right off the bat, I think, Andy, we got good news today, because the sword of Damocles that has been hanging over this team for the last 6 weeks or so was the status of the ankle of one Christopher Richards.
And is he good to go? Is he at 80%? Is he at 100%? What's the deal?
We have not been given a percentage.
You said we got good news.
What we've been told is he has been cleared to start on Friday against Paraguay, and in fact, he claims he's so good that he's not even on minute restrictions, which is significant, because typically guys coming off injury, they're going to go, okay, we'll get you out there for a half or 60 minutes. So a full 90 of Chris Richards suddenly changes a mood about how I feel about the team.
Yeah, and this injury, we've talked about this injury was significant, and even I think it created a little bit of decision-making on Pochettino's part on who he was going to call up, and he ended up not getting in as many midfielders as he probably wished to cover for Chris Richards' injury just in case.
So Chris is a big deal. I think because the quality of the center backs that are in the roster after him, the quality drops off pretty significantly. Yeah. Although I think Alex Freeman has been really good of late, and I have a feeling he's primed for a really good tournament. My feeling about with this team with Chris changes dramatically in terms of now the question is the kid hasn't played since May 15th, so it's not like he's got a lot of minutes recently, so we'll see what kind of form he's in, but I still think slightly rusty Chris Richards is better than a back line than we would probably have otherwise.
Yeah, and which means a three-man back line too, right? That he'll likely
gives you the option at least. I mean, that's one of the great things about him. He can do right back, he can do right-sided center half, he can do all over, and he's used to playing in a three at the back system. So yeah, whichever version of this Pochettino wants to do, he will enable that.
It's interesting. There has been so much discussion about what formation Pochettino is playing. And it's very clear that it's not easy to say this is a three-man back line or a four because it's kind of a hybrid of the two based on what they're doing. Sometimes depending if they're with the ball or without the ball.
Or who they're playing.
Absolutely. All of that is what is going to be driving this. And Pochettino, Lars, you can talk about, Pochettino really isn't a guy who gets focused on formations.
It's not the thing he cares the most about, that's for sure. I think he's a guy as a coach who cares a lot about creating the right culture. This is the thing he was very successful at Southampton, at Tottenham. He wants fit, strong guys who will run through brick walls for him. That's the thing he wants above everything else in the team. I do remember, though, like one of his most successful seasons for Spurs, they played in this kind of hybrid thing where it was on paper four at the back, but one of the two midfielders was basically Eric Dyer, who could slide into centre half and you could push the fullbacks up and make them wing backs if the situation kind of calls for it. So he does like to have that flexibility. Again, at Spurs, when they were very successful, they had a lot of players in the 11 who can play more than one position. Yeah, they had Toby Alderweireld was a centre half who could play right back. Vertonghen was a centre half who could play left back. It was very easy to shift people around. I think he values a little bit of flexibility in his players, I suspect. But I just remember I'm a Tottenham fan, as we talked in the exchange, and I know fitness matters a lot to him. I know physical capacity matters a lot to him. And I guess that kind of brings me back to, as from the European perspective, I'm a little surprised to see Gio Reyna in the squad. That's something that doesn't fully make... He didn't play...
You are.
He had 4 starts in Germany for Gladbach this year. I mean,
don't get Andy all grumpy by bringing up
But
Giovanni
it is odd.
Reyna.
Like, is there... Can you give us a good
Yes,
answer?
Yes, it is odd. Peter, tell us, why is Gio Reyna on the team?
I can't explain it. It's the beating of a century. I don't get it.
Watch it. He's going to score a key goal.
Now, at the same time, would it not be the coolest story ever if the kid that is in the center of this ridiculous drama that has engulfed this team for the last 4 years ends up having a really good tournament? That would be a tremendous result out of this, but he just hasn't done anything since we last saw Gio Reyna playing in a World Cup, which was pretty much little to none. The guy has done essentially nothing in his club career.
Wow. The last time he started more than 6 games, I should say, he's had a lot of bench appearances, but started more than 6 games in the league in Germany was in 2020.
Yeah, it's been
2020, 2021, 23 starts.
And I think the reason why Pochettino brings him is that he does have this weird quality of creation that he's a little bereft of in the rest of the roster.
Yeah, and
maybe late he can throw him.
Yeah,
in.
exactly.
Maybe we can
late
really
in the game.
Jinx this. If we keep talking about this, we jinx it so hard that he's going to have
through.
to score.
No, that's what I was saying.
Let's have Reyna bashing minutes every show, and then he will score. This is always
late in the game.
The gods of football, they're
the
watching.
Other team's parking the bus. Maybe he can create some magic. That's 10 minutes, and maybe that happens.
Maybe
the American Neymar.
Now, the thing that I've noticed lately is that
Lars.
over the course of these last 4 games, even the losses to Portugal and Belgium, and even how they played against Germany, and especially how they played against Senegal, what I have seen is a team that is growing in potential and possession and a level, a team that I actually like watching play, and they are exciting. But I also think they're a team that, because of the way Pochettino has set them up, is that they are extremely susceptible to the individual error or collective team error based on how they're spacing and so forth. And so the one thing that I finally have figured out in my head in trying to put one line together that kind of encapsulates my feelings about this team is that I'm really concerned that they're better at beating themselves than they are beating other teams.
Especially in the back line. I think that's what you fear. We've seen a few of these gaffes in these friendlies, right?
Yeah, but a lot of those errors are actually midfield errors.
Yeah, that start in midfield.
And Tyler Adams was really culpable for
he was sleeping.
So turning off, little switching off moments, things like that. I do think that the U.S. is destined for the very familiar one win, one draw, one loss.
Is there a difference between these friendlies, and they're 80%, they don't want to get hurt, this and that, and then you start the World Cup, home soil, big expectations, having to beat this rap that they don't have the grit that the 94 team did or the 02 team did.
Well, they're going to have to.
Does that turn on?
I hope so. They've got a lot to prove to me as a fan that they can live up to the spirit of the quote-unquote American player, which I know a lot of people find is a very unfair label. But for those of us who are old enough to remember what the teams used to be like back in that day, whether you like it or not, that's a real thing.
Yeah, they relied on grit because
that's
the
what
talent
That's all they had.
Wasn't there
that's all they had.
Yeah.
And so, I don't think they play that way these days. Maybe they don't need to. I think with Pochettino, that's what he wants, and I think that's one of the things that he clearly, I think, has been caught off guard on in the 18 months he's been here, which is, wait, they're not Argentinian, so
they don't think soccer 24/7.
Friday against Paraguay is crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, remember that last game ended in a fight when they played back in November.
Yeah,
tough game that Paraguay. They're not easy. I mean, I think they're a.
It's a very even group. I know tomorrow we're going to dive deep into Group D. It's an even group. I picked them to advance in first place. Maybe that's foolish of me, but I do think the possibility is there, just like the possibility is there that they finish third or even fourth. You know, I mean, it's one of those kind of groups.
Yeah, anybody can finish first. Anybody can finish fourth. I think we agree. You agree with that, Lars?
I don't think Australia can finish first.
All right, fine. Deep dive tomorrow.
I'm gonna dunk on the Aussies.
We'll dive deep on the group tomorrow. But I think expectations are we do hope. I think the farthest they've ever gotten in a World Cup, modern times, is in 2002. They got to the quarters, and in '94,
stupid Germans.
Yeah, in '94 they decently played against good opposition in group play and lost 1-0 to Brazil in the next round. That was a decent run as well. Those are minimums, right, for a World Cup at home now, 30
100%.
years later.
Yeah, just getting to the round of 32 ain't going to cut it, kids. Not at all. All right, we'll talk more about the Yanks tomorrow and preview their game on Friday. But next, let's take a break, and we will preview tomorrow's game, the big kickoff, Mexico, South Africa, and South Korea and Czechia. Next on World Cup Kick-Around. Lars, which national team theme song is this? You got to turn your mic on, buddy.
I was enjoying the
radio.
Music, man. Yeah. This is a German rock band named Sportsfreunde Stiller who
wait,
stop.
Say that again.
Sportsfreunde Stiller.
Thank you.
And they wrote this is released as a tribute to the national team around before Euro 2006. I'd like to say.
Do I want to know what they're saying in here?
No, they're singing about they're singing about the tournaments they won, 54, 74, 90.
Oh, wow, they go way back.
Yeah.
All right.
Wow.
The course is 64, 75, 74, 90, 2006 because we're going to win the next one.
So the U.S. can write a song.
Yeah.
Hey, we finished third in 1930.
Nothing wrong
we
with
beat
it.
the English in
Nothing
1950.
And we beat the English in 1950.
And when Pele scored with Stallone in goal, and hold on, that wasn't a real thing. Welcome back to World Cup Kick-Around. Andy, myself, and Lars will be here every weeknight starting at 7 right after the hard line. We got a whole bunch of shows. Today is match day -1. The World Cup kicks off tomorrow, and it'll start with the first time we've ever had the same two teams playing the World Cup final opener, which is Mexico and South Africa, which played against each other in South Africa back in 2010. Andy, it's Group A.
Yep.
Mexico, South Africa, South Korea, and the Czech Republic.
That's all right.
Did you like how I shifted to the
Czechia,
correct?
Yeah.
Right. Okay, there you go.
Either one works. Yeah, very good. That's their formal name, I've heard. So this group seems skewed towards. I think there's two underlying storylines here. One is Mexico related, and the other one is the intangibles, and we'll talk about those in a second. But this is a Mexican team that is not bad, but man, are they full of angst. The players are full of angst. The coach is full of angst. The fan base is anxious. They're about to turn on them any second. They have. I know that they're going to get behind the team once the game kicks off, this game tomorrow, but I bet they have a half. 45 minutes.
They're on the clock.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure on this team. So they are a decent side, though. And the thing about this team is if they finish in first, they play in altitude at home. They continue to play in Mexico City through the quarterfinals. So that is key. And that motivates this team to finish first. I know that we talked a lot about how some teams just want to advance or they don't care first or second. Mexico is very motivated to finish first. That's the first storyline. And the second, I think, is that this group has a lot of the intangibles that we've talked about that this tournament has in general. There's games that are going to be played in altitude. There are games that are going to be played in the heat in Monterrey. There's some travel disadvantages to certain teams here. Czechia, I think, that will have to travel to Mexico, and they're based here, and they have to travel to Mexico a couple times. So this group is going to have it all in that regard.
Yeah, so Mexico is, and people, I forgot this. They didn't get out of the group in 2022.
Yeah, for the first time in a long time.
For the first time in forever. They're almost always the guys that get to the round of 16 and then fart it away once against the United States gloriously.
Yeah.
But last time, they didn't even get out of the group. And this has been a relatively rough period of Mexican national team football since then. They lost Gold Cup to the United States. They and this isn't their best a collection of players, and my sense from the Mexican fans is, to your point, is not only are they ready for blood, they're all very much convinced that they're not good enough.
It's possible that they're not great, but I just think the draw really favors them for the reasons of playing at home. I think all these intangibles that Andy is talking about really goes against some of their opponents. The Czech in particular, I think, is going to have a struggle here, and I'm looking forward to watching this game because both of these teams are teams that have quite a lot of players who play in their domestic leagues. There's quite a lot of players from the Mexican league and the Mexican team, and there's also guys like Julian Quiñones up front who's scored an incredible number of goals in the Saudi league. Does that translate to anything? It's kind of hard to say.
Cristiano Ronaldo.
I watch an unhealthy amount of club soccer during the year, but it's mostly England and the other sort of four big leagues in Europe. There's a lot of guys on this Mexican team I'm not familiar with, and I'm not going to make the mistake that a lot of sort of arrogant European football watchers do, which is to think, well, if I haven't seen them, they can't be any good. It's possible they're very good. So I look forward to, I'm not going to pass too much judgment on it. I look forward to watching them. But on the other side of it, South Africa are a little bit similar. The South African league is actually one of the most financially strong on the African continent. So their players often stay at home. They don't have a huge incentive to leave in the same way they do in a lot of other African countries. Most of the squad from the national team are from the domestic league. A lot of players from the Mamelodi Sundowns who won the African Champions League. So those are a lot of guys I'm not super familiar with either. So just
how Lars said
from a
that.
football nerd perspective, super hyped for watching this game and learning more about some of these guys.
Mamelodi
Sundowns. I think with this group, Peter, is South Korea seems like a team that they've been to like every World Cup for the last umpteen World Cups, and they usually disappoint a little bit. We always expect more, and this is a team that we were hoping would produce some good results this World Cup, but I just know Son seems older. I just don't know if they're going to be able to overcome the Mexican home field advantage, altitude to finish in first in this group.
I do think that Mexico being a host nation, playing in Mexico, I think the default attitude is, that's a huge advantage to Mexico. But I think those of us that are paying attention to CONCACAF and understand how all this plays out is that there is an argument to be made that in some ways it's kind of a disadvantage for them.
Well, you're talking from the emotional part
of it.
So, but if we go to the two World Cups played in Mexico, they always advance to the quarterfinals, and they always do play well in these tournaments in Mexico because of the altitude advantage.
Yeah.
And when they play qualifiers, remember, they're playing teams that are used to going to Mexico and playing in altitude.
Fair
Tell
point.
me, Lars, how often Czechia gets to play in altitude.
That would be more or less never.
So that's the other team we would consider to have a chance to finish in first in this group. But
no, I think if this group was being played out in November in Belgium or something, I would back the Czechs to get through if it was cold and rainy. I watched both of their. I mean, they got through the playoff route. They qualified. I watched both of their games when they first knocked out Ireland and then they knocked out Denmark, and both of them, none of them were like good soccer performances. They were battles. They're physically tough. They're pretty well organized. They're a threat from set pieces. They got a lot of tall guys, but they are definitely a group of Europeans who I can imagine not having a great time in the heat in Mexico, and with the intensity of that, I'm not sure that team is very well set up for it.
Yeah, a game in heat, and then that third match, which might decide first place, Mexico-Czechia in Mexico City. After Czechia has had to travel a little bit and play in the heat, now they're going to go play in altitude. And for that reason, I think I still favor Mexico finishing first in that group because I don't think the group in general is that strong.
Agree.
No, I can't imagine a scenario Mexico doesn't win the group. I do think there'll be some dodgy moments.
Yes, like that first game.
Just because of the pressure. Yes. The other thing that everybody should know, and I will check out our very own World Cup Soccer weather app to tell everybody.
That's
it's
right.
Very good.
Everybody can go to the KickAround.
We should have a little...
Listen, I'm not just saying this because Peter's a nice guy. The weather thing is genuinely brilliant. I have shared it with many people I know. It's so good.
The thing to know about tomorrow is that there is a 76% chance of rain
in Mexico City. Wow.
At the Azteca. It'll be 74 degrees and 57% humidity.
Okay, let me write this down. How will this affect altitude exactly?
I don't know.
It will not.
Why?
Because altitude is not affected by weather.
Oh, you just think the altitude is such a burden that it doesn't make any difference if it's downpour or beautiful day.
Weather in Mexico City is not the issue. It's the altitude.
It's the altitude.
Monterey, it's the heat.
So I'm looking at Peter's weather app, and in the Swedes, when they travel to Monterey, the pasty Swedes, they travel to Monterey to play Tunisia. It's going to be 29 Celsius. I can flip the button now and say what it is in Fahrenheit. It's going to be 85 with 60% humidity, and the wet bulb situation is bad.
Oh, we'll teach everybody about wet bulb temps.
That's coming up. Yeah,
warm and oppressive humidity.
Okay,
yes.
So
the Swedes will suffer.
We all agree Mexico first.
Yes,
but who else advances out of this group?
I think it's going to be South Korea just because of the experience overall on the team.
I think this is underrated. South Korea is base camping in Mexico as well. Yeah. They don't travel a lot.
Yeah, you got to.
So really, I would love to be surprised by South Africa. I would love it if all these players I've almost never seen play turned up and were fun and skillful and did loads of stuff. I do think realistically, I think Mexico in the group. I think it's a complete coin flip between South Korea and Czechia, and I do think I would expect South Africa to finish bottom.
So you both predicting a Mexico-South Korea victory tomorrow?
I'm predicting a Mexico victory and a South Korea draw.
Yeah, South Korea will draw with Czechia. I think Czechia is going to be affected later in the group stage once these intangibles we've talked about come into play more. And South Korea remains at home. They play Monterrey and Guadalajara and Mexico City. They don't travel much, and that eventually ends up helping them finish second. I think there's a chance for a draw, Mexico-South Africa, but I think in the bracket I filled out, I put Mexico down as 1-0 winners.
All right. So this is an interesting time to bring this up because the tournament has 48 teams and 12 groups. That means the top 2 teams from every group go through, and then the 8 best third-place teams.
Out of 12.
So is this one of the groups where the third-place team doesn't go through?
I think you need 3 points and a not terrible goal difference to advance as a wild card team.
Yeah.
I think a wild card team will come out of this group.
I tend to think the same. Again, I'm expecting South Africa to have a bad time here, but I hope I'm wrong.
Okay. Interesting. So there is your Group A. The Mexico-South Africa game kicks off at 2 p.m. I told you about the weather. and Korea and Czechia at 9 p.m. Those games, I think the first game is on Fox, and the later game at 9 p.m. is on FS1, I believe, tomorrow. And, of course, the first game will have the spectacle
pomp and circumstance
of the concert or whatever they're going to do. And all we'll do is worry about the condition of the field after everybody marches around on it. And there you go.
So the opening game, Mexico 86, was Belgium versus Mexico, correct? And
in 86, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you know who played right back for Belgium? Hugo Broos, who's now the national team coach of South Africa.
There you go.
Whoa.
So,
yeah.
And the one thing
Interesting.
One thing I will say about South Africa.
That's why we brought Lars over here.
That's usually Andy's stuff.
South Africa did base camp in the altitude near Mexico City.
Oh, did they?
And they've been there a while. They got there early,
maybe I am
which
wrong
is
about
smart.
them, you know?
Which is smart. I don't know if it'll help them tomorrow, but that's why I'm like, there's a chance for a draw. I'm still picking Mexico to win the game.
The Azteca with 100,000 people is unlike anything you've ever experienced. It is bonkers. It'll be curious if the South Africans, if that into itself is a big impact on the game, the intangible of just the Mexican crowd, at least for the first
half.
minutes.
Yeah,
the
second half, if things don't go,
All right, we'll take our break. We look forward to the start of the World Cup tomorrow. When we come back, let's do more predictions and answer Andy's World Cup quiz of the day. And we'll do that next on World Cup Kick-Around. Which one is this one?
This is Croatian, I think.
Oh, okay. All right, I'm going to carve out a couple of minutes of World Cup Kick-Around time to promote some things. I encourage all good P1s to go visit our website, thekickaround.com. 2 months ago, I was trying to figure out how to memorize all the teams and groups, so I built a memorization tool. And I want to share it with you so you can memorize all the teams and groups.
Peter, who's in Group G?
Group G is Belgium, Egypt, Iran, and New Zealand.
Okay, very good.
There you go. But that's really old news. That's been up for a while. I'm sure everybody's already used that. Really, the thing that I think everybody will enjoy the most is the World Cup Kit Cup. So what I have done, Andy, as you are innately familiar with and burned out on, is there are 105 shirts in the tournament. And we have built the entire we have modeled the actual World Cup tournament so you can decide which of those 105 shirts, down to the group stage, down to the knockout stage,
can I just go
down to the champion shirt.
Can I just go through all the shirts and pick the one that I like the best and then just be done with it?
Yeah, of course you can.
Instead of having to, this team plays that team.
No, you got to go through it. You got to go through the whole thing, man.
Just to pick the shirt that I like the most.
I know you don't. You and Lars aren't into kits.
How many games?
There's a lot. It's
104.
It's not as long as like Zelda or anything like that, but it's a lot of fun. So the World Cup.
I'm thinking it's less fun than Zelda.
Nerd. That hurts. And then, as we were mentioning a minute ago, the actual usable thing is our weather app, which is weather for just the 16 venues. It has all the current conditions and the forecast for the next game, and you can save it to the homepage of your phone. All of that you can just go find over on our website, thekickaround.com, along with all the information about how you can listen to every episode after the fact via the podcast. So there you go. All right, let's move into the thing everybody is most interested in, and
as they fill out their brackets,
they're patiently
waiting for our.
It is
tips.
the once every 4 years predictions segment.
When you've done spending 5 hours doing the Kid Cup, you can get over to predicting.
It doesn't take 5 hours, Lars.
Okay.
Don't scare people off. It's fun. Everybody loves a good shirt battle. Okay. It's like Pokemon. First off, let's just do the basics here.
Yeah,
what should everybody be looking for when trying to fill out their brackets?
Sure. In the World Cup, as we know, depth is what matters the most, especially this one, I think, now that 8 matches will have to be played for the winner to raise the trophy. Traditional tactical approach to looking at games and figuring out who's going to be the best team. I think that matters a lot less when you're handicapping a tournament like this. It's more about the intangibles. Surprises will happen early. We'll have a minnow surprise us. We'll have one of the big guns. There's only 8 countries that ever won a World Cup, 7 playing in this one. One of them is probably going to disappoint, but ultimately it's talent. Talent will get you out of the group stage. You have to have talent. That's a duh, right? But then their spine and your structure allows you to advance. Ultimately, depth gets you to the final, and the winner always has a little luck in the final because the two teams playing in the final will both have depth. Look at the goalkeeper, the central defense, the 6 and the 9, the holding midfielder, and the 9, somebody that can, not necessarily the 9, but somebody that can score goals. The forward.
Yeah,
forward. Somebody that can score a goal.
No, just helping people who don't know what you mean by a 9.
Yeah, but what I meant to say, it doesn't have to be the traditional 9, but every team that raises a trophy has somebody that in the clutch can score a goal when most needed. You don't have to be exceptional in all of these areas to win the World Cup, but you have to be at least average to very good, if not elite in all of them. Now, this World Cup, we have more intangibles, and that's why I pair institutional experience with coaching. Coaching is important, but just as important is the institutional experience your national team brings to the table. Those that have been there, done that matters a lot. That's why only 8 teams have won the World Cup. So, and we've talked about the intangibles, the weather, the heat, the humidity, the altitude, but the travel, and not just the distance, but traveling across time zones is going to disrupt players' biorhythms, their routines. Athletes, it's very important. Their routines are extremely important. This tournament will disrupt those as more than other World Cups. And I think the teams that adapt to that the best, that have the institutional experience to adapt to that the best, will progress the farthest.
Lars, how much of all of that or any of that will play into, because you're kind of the de facto guy that knows all about the betting scene, and that's so popular these days.
Yeah.
In fact, that's what makes, I think, this tournament a little bit different, at least from the United States side, is the ability to do all the betting
it's
is
now,
new.
Yeah.
Like that didn't exist for us legally, 4 years ago. So what are the bookies saying about the tournament today?
So I think you factor in a lot of the things that Andy just said, and which is why, for instance, I think the experience and the institutional know-how really matters. Which is why, I have Switzerland to get to the round of 16 in my bracket, even though they don't have a very exciting team, but they've got a heck of a lot of experience. They've gotten out of the group stage in 3 out of the last 4 World Cups, and for 3 straight Euros. So that's 7 major tournaments where they've gotten from the group stage in 6 of them, and they're Switzerland, not a great team. They just know how to get stuff done. I do think, looking at my bracket, I feel like this is a tournament where we're going to be wrong about a bunch of things.
Yeah, it is. Because of the format, yes.
I've done my bracket, and I've gone back over it many times, and I've put my head into the freezer, and I've thought about things, and just kind of really,
that's interesting.
What can we glean here? Yeah, I'm really happy with what I've arrived at, but I just have a sneaking feeling I'm going to be wrong about a bunch of things, because I think the travel times, all the stuff you just mentioned, will really destabilize people.
It'll be tricky. It'll be hard to predict, the 32 teams that advance and then perhaps the next 16. Ultimately, the 4 finalists or the 4 semifinalists, I think we're all going to believe that we're going to be kind of right on that. We'll see. But what happens before that is going to be all wacky.
So looking at my own bracket, I've got South Africa 0 points, Qatar 0 points, Haiti 0 points.
See, you went
Australia
straight by the
0
book.
points.
Yeah.
That will never happen.
No.
New Zealand 0 points. These minnows are going to cause upsets. It's hard to put your finger on when it's going to do.
So what are the surprises?
Betting-wise, since you said it, I'll just say very quickly, draws are usually overpriced in the end by the market in these tournaments. People don't love betting on draws. It's not a lot of fun when you're sat in the sofa and wagers move markets. The draws almost always end up being a little overpriced.
Bet on ties is what he said.
Yeah.
So who are the favorites with the betting houses to win the whole thing?
Spain and France.
Are first and second close, or
they're very close?
Right.
They are very close. Then England are third, and I have a feeling that's a little bit based on market being moved by people laying money. I'm not sure.
Peter.
I'm not sure I would agree with England being the third favorite in this tournament.
Peter's probably put down $500,000 on.
But
England.
it is Spain and France are quite clear.
Interesting. I am convinced, and part of the reason why I built that silly weather app is I'm convinced the weather is going to end up. Thank you. Is going to end up being a major component of what we talk about in this tournament. And I do think when we get to the knockout stage, we're going to at some point hear a talking point or somebody complaining or saying, wow, we really got lucky because they got to play their group stage games in much better conditions than a team they're playing in the knockout. So the U.S., for example, plays their 3 games, twice in L.A. and once in Seattle. I assume the weather will be great for all 3 of those games. There are a number of teams that are going to be subject to way worse situations. And by the time we start colliding in the knockout stage, I think that's going to become an issue.
Yeah, this is a great point you made, because when we talk about the intangibles, they don't necessarily impact teams in a great way in the group stage. They start affecting teams as teams advance in the knockout stages, and that's why ultimately depth wins, because you have to account for those intangibles plus injuries plus suspensions, and when you combine all that, that's where you get to the favorites.
So let me actually read out the favorites in sort of descending order. And I know Andy's a bit of a skeptic of the bookmaker and the market's ability to get these things right.
No, I think they're getting a lot better about intangibles, actually.
Yeah, so Spain are the favorites to lift the trophy, followed by France, and those 2 are close. Then there's a bit of a gap down to England. Then is Portugal. England and Portugal considered to be pretty close, the 3rd and 4th. Then there's the gap down to Brazil. Then Argentina are pretty close to Brazil, but we get Argentina and Brazil after those. Then it's Germany, the Dutch, Belgium, Norway, and then we're into dark horse territory.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you want to? I think France and Spain. Are we ready to?
Sure. Do you got does either one of you have you're convinced that this surprise, whether it's a Cinderella team or a big team's going to crash out way early? Do either one of you have one of those or 2?
I mean, I have Turkey-Belgium in a round of 16 game, which means we'll get either Turkey or Belgium in the quarterfinals, which is a little bit Cinderella-y.
Yeah. But you don't have one of the minnows.
I've got Korea in the round of 16 somehow. That's a surprise.
I can't figure. There's a minnow is going to surprise. I don't know which one. I don't know enough about those teams.
Haiti's going to have their World Cup moment by time Brazil
maybe
in the
it's
group
Haiti.
stage.
I don't know. I mean, I feel my surprise is one of the teams I picked to get to the final. Even though they're not a minnow team, them getting to a final would be a surprise because they've never done it before. So, and we'll
Portugal?
get to it. It's sorry, we'll get to it. Yeah,
while we're on this, I actually have a minnow to win a game, and we can debate. I have Cape Verde. I think Cape Verde will beat Saudi Arabia.
Okay, well, a singular game. You're calling it.
I'm just saying it. If it's going to be, I'm just saying that's where, because Cape Verde is an island.
The betting line is going to move. People are going to be like, "What is going on with Cape Verde?"
I know Saudi Arabia is not a massive powerhouse.
The betting houses,
but Saudi Arabia did beat Argentina in the last World
Cup. They're
going
to call FIFA. This game there's a fix. The line is moving.
By the way, that's also the game I told everybody. If you just want to experience the World Cup, Cape Verde, Saudi Arabia in Houston is going to be a game you'll get into on the super cheap. 100%.
And the air conditioning.
Yeah, and in the air conditioning.
Okay, so let's talk about top five. France and Spain I agree with, and they're in one half of the bracket that if they both finish first, they meet in the semis. So if you pick France and Spain to reach the final, you're picking one of them to not win their group. Could happen, not likely. So I do have them meeting in the semifinal, and I do have France beating Spain. Maybe in PK. They're so close. At that point, it's going to come down to luck. Who's got players suspended, injuries. But I'm picking France just because you have to pick somebody, and I know that Lars probably will pick the other one, so I want to be different. But that means the second half of the bracket, the other side, is a little bit wide open for these other teams that are not as good as France and Spain, but are pretty good. Brazil, Argentina, England, Germany. One of those is going to not do as well as we predict. I think Germany is going to be the one that dumps out. I have Brazil and Portugal for that reason in the semi. But that half of the group leaves teams like Ecuador, Uruguay, Colombia, Norway, Belgium, Switzerland, all those with a good possibility of at least making it to the semis.
I'm very afraid that Norway will finish second in our group, which sends us to Dallas against the second place team in Germany, Ecuador, Ivory Coast, Curacao group. I have a feeling Germany might mess up in the group stage and stumble into a second place finish and get Norway here in Dallas. And that would be incredibly stressful for me. But having said that,
you're going to that game.
Having said
if
that,
they're here.
If it's Ecuador, I think that's a terrible matchup for Norway as well. They're so good defensively.
It is. Correct.
So that's also a scary one.
Yeah. So my final.
But who do you have? Your final four,
Lars?
Final four, I have Brazil-Portugal in the semi-final from that side of the bracket. I've got France-Spain in the semi-final from the other side of the bracket. I've got Spain beating Brazil in the final. And I'm not sure how I ended up with Brazil going all the way to the final.
Same way I probably did.
One of those things. I don't think they're that good. But
we have the same 4 semifinalists.
Yeah.
He and I.
Yes.
Weird.
So I have Brazil falling out, I think, in the round of 16 in an upset to somebody. I can't remember who I have.
Because they're all over the map.
That might be Norway, by the way.
No, it may be. I don't remember. I'm going to stick with what I said for a while, which is I think it's coming home. I think Thomas Tuchel, the German, is the guy. And you know what? You were talking about intangibles or things that you want teams to be. You want a goal scorer, you need a good goalkeeper, and you need a good spine. And the English have all of that.
Institutional
Harry Kane
experience.
Arguably is the best striker in the game. Jordan Pickford has been playing out of his mind for Everton. Declan Rice has been Declan Rice.
Hey, they're third best odds.
Yeah,
it's not crazy.
No, and I know everybody who has spent time in England or is a fan of the team doubt that it's going to happen again, but I don't want to pick just France or Spain. Yeah. And I feel like I've got a reasonable defense of picking England.
I'm scared about England and the weather. That's all.
But here's the deal. In my bracket, I also means that England has to go to Mexico City and play Mexico in Mexico City in the round of 16. And that is, if they can get past that, I think
that's a more winnable game in the altitude for England than heat.
Yeah, I have them winning that, but then they meet Brazil in the humidity in Miami.
Okay.
And goes wrong.
Do you have Spain and France on the other
I
do,
I
bracket?
have Spain beating France, and I have England beating Portugal.
Also,
to meet, and then I have England winning the World Cup.
All three have Portugal. All of us have Portugal in the semis. I have them in the final. To me, that's a surprise, right? That would be a surprise.
Hive mind, maybe we hang out together too much. We were thinking the same thoughts.
Wouldn't that be a surprise though if Portugal gets to the final?
So good,
Isn't that out there?
The roster is so ridiculous.
Yeah, Ronaldo.
Yeah, that's the problem.
That's the issue.
That's the question.
Yes, that's why it'd be.
I guess this is a great question, and I'm sure we'll get into this more when we get to their first game. But if Portugal arrived in this World Cup without Ronaldo, would they be the unquestionable favorites to win the tournament?
No, not to win, but.
If they had a good number 9, they would be up there with Spain and Italy. Spain, Italy. They're not in Spain and
France.
France.
Suck for them.
Some of this muscle memory. We're talking about favorites for the tournament. You just assume Italy will be there. No, Spain and France. But I think if they had a good striker, then they'd be right up there because there's not many other flaws in that squad.
All right. We've done it. Here's our preview-ish kind of show. By the way, we did a giant full preview show last Saturday, which you can find up on the podcast. If you just search the KickAround wherever you get pods, you'll find that there. The World Cup starts tomorrow, boys. Mm-hmm. By the time we get in here, one game will be complete, a game to happen, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
The quiz answer.
Yes, and now it's time for Andy's World Cup quiz answer.
So only one time has the host nation. This is good news for the U.S. and Mexico and Canada. Only one time, and that was in 2022, Qatar. The only time the host nation lost its opening match in a World Cup. Up until the last World Cup, host nations were undefeated in their opening games in a World Cup.
Silly Qatar.
So there you go, boys.
Who did they lose to?
Belgium. Right?
I think that's right. Yeah, I think so.
Ecuador, maybe.
It could be Ecuador. I read a recent interview with the current coach of Qatar, Julian Lopetegui, who expressed some frustration where he said that, well, we only have about 300,000 citizens and not all of them play football. Which implies that it would have been possible for all of them to play football. It would have made them a very strange country.
We made it through our first show. We'll be back tomorrow night at 7 p.m. hard after the hard line for the start of the 2026 World Cup. Thanks to Michael Dixon for producing and Jay King for running the board. And thank you, P1s. We are looking so forward to this. Lars, thanks for coming, man.
Thank you, Peter.
We're so glad you're here. Andy, it's great to do this again with you. P1s, we love and adore you. We will be back tomorrow night for the start of the World Cup. It's World Cup Kick-Around on the ticket.
Time for a bonus segment of the Kick-Around where Lars joined the boys on the hard line.
All right, this is very exciting here because Peter and Andy are up here, but we're certainly familiar enough with their work that doesn't actually get us excited. But they brought their friend Lars.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Lars.
Hi, Lars.
Hi.
Severston?
Yeah, close enough. Let's go with it.
What do you go with?
Sivertsen, but I'm not picky.
Man, he really...
I don't even know what he said.
He backed me off the plate with that Norwegian accent. Norwegian?
So my father's name is Gaute Sivertsen, and once when I was very young, we traveled in the U.S. for a holiday. This was before Booking.com and all those things. You just went to a hotel and you tried to make some phone reservations and tried to explain over the phone in a Norwegian accent that my name is Gaute Sivertsen. You would not imagine the things that when we turn up at the reservation, it's like, I don't have that name, sir, but I do have something for a goat Silverstone. I was like, yeah, it's probably us. I mean, we'll take it.
Man, we're delighted that you're on the station. I was telling the good folks who listen to us that I listened to the Saturday show, thought it was fantastic, and I mean this. We would probably be told to promote you guys because we're all on the same station. I don't need to be told. This is going to be awesome. I'm very excited about the Kick-Around World Cup.
It's
edition.
the ultimate.
Is that what we're calling it?
World Cup Kick-Around.
World Cup Kick-Around.
Yeah.
It's the ultimate infomercial for us, especially semi-day trippers every 4 years, where I can't consume enough of it, and the vast knowledge that you boys have is awesome.
Yeah, we don't know what we're watching, but we like it.
That's right.
You're like my pillow guy telling me about his pillows.
That's weird.
But way cooler.
Okay.
So Lars,
without
not been called weirder.
We wanted
white Christian national and political views.
Don't worry about that part.
We wanted to meet you, Lars, but we got like 5 minutes, so we have to do a speed round. So
Okay.
you are from Norway?
Yeah, I grew up in Norway, yeah.
What does that mean?
I've lived quite a lot of my adult life in the UK. So I lived in London for 12 years, and that's probably shaped
Johan
me in a lot
Olaf
of ways.
Klaus, go.
Johan Olaf Klaus, yeah, sure. He's
Okay.
a good skater guy.
Wait. Don't undersell. Don't bury the lead. You are from Norway, but you happen to be from the same town as.
Yeah, I'm also from Erling Haaland's hometown.
Oh, yeah?
And it's a small town. It's like 12,000 people, so it's pretty. Yeah, that's a thing. I'm too old for him to have been around. When I
Okay,
was
you
a
didn't
kid,
play
but,
on the
like,
same team as
I
kids?
didn't, but like my father's played golf with his dad a bunch. You know, it's that kind of place.
Okay.
So it's very close. One of Erling's best friends, I sold his dad a boat once. I mean, it's a very small Norwegian place.
Are you into?
Is it like a fishing village, like we imagine?
It is a lakeside inland village.
Did
yeah.
your parents dump skis or skates on you at all and say, go cross country and then go speed skate?
So that's more of a northern Norway and eastern Norway type of
Okay.
thing. We're from the southwest. I mean, my father made me play golf pretty early.
That sounds way more fun.
Never got very good at that, but yeah, it's we have our weather, our climate. It's not what you think of as Norway. Just think of Scotland, but with more mountains. Like we've got like middling weather and rain, sideways rain, a lot of that sort of stuff.
Okay.
Free healthcare?
Yeah, 100%.
Uh,
But also taxes, which would be intolerable to most Americans, I think.
and because I follow you on Twitter, I know that you've written a book about Erling Haaland, right?
I think if you try to do what I'm trying to do for a living, and suddenly a kid from your town becomes like the best forward in the world, you go, well, that's a freebie. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
That doesn't happen all the time. That's pretty cool. So, there was an English publisher who insisted that I do that, and we couldn't get any access to him or the family. They run a very tight ship, so then we think, okay, what can we do instead? So I spoke to teacher, friends, youth coaches, like how you do an unauthorized biography. And the cool part about doing that is that you have more editorial freedom anyway, so you can kind of, not that there's any scandals around him, but you can take it whichever way you want.
When did that drop?
Two and a half years ago. Help me out, Peter.
I think it was a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just in
It's
time for
awesome.
them winning everything.
Okay.
The last chapter is very daintily called Champions of Everything, because City, of course, had a season where they won.
They
all of
did.
it. Yeah.
Lars has a super charming voice, but he's an amazing writer. I like just go read the book or anything he writes.
Okay.
It's really, really
How did
good.
you guys come across each other? Like, what was the meeting?
You want me to tell a story?
Yes, Peter. Tell the story.
Lars is regularly on a very popular soccer podcast called Guardian Football Weekly. And one day, I don't know, 4 years ago? How many years ago was it?
More.
5 years plus whatever ago. He was on there and he mentioned a Czech striker who was playing for FC Dallas on Dresnik. We called him Cobra. Oddly enough,
It was
Cobra.
real bad. Yeah.
And because he had played in a Norwegian league. And I heard Lars bring this up and say, oh, he's playing for FC Dallas. And for some nerdy reason, I decided to slide into his DMs and said, hey, by the way, this, that, and the other. And lo and behold, all these years later, we're really good friends, and he's over here doing the show with us.
That's so cool. You've gotten so many chicks that way, too.
Boy. You know where I learned that from? Daddy.
Yes, that's the master.
Yeah,
right.
He is the master. So Lars,
you want to go see FC Dallas?
It's funny though, because this podcast I'm on in the UK is really popular. That we have live shows and sell a bunch of tickets and stuff. And I remember the first time they booked me in for a live show with them, I was like, yes, this is going to be like the rock star experience. It's going to be. And then we get there, and it was like all dudes, all dudes.
Yeah,
same
that's a worldwide thing.
Same age, same haircut, same shirt.
So do you work for The Guardian?
I've done some freelance stuff for them, but I'm mostly like regular on their podcast.
Okay.
I've been freelance pretty much my entire adult life.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. And so you freelance to I know the KickAround's budget. I'm just curious, like, even how
it's a kind donation of effort.
Are you working for worldwide media platforms in addition to the KickAround this month?
Yes, I've been on 2 podcasts today.
Okay.
That were paid assignments, and I just kind of like, without going full, like LinkedIn, I think you kind of pick jobs that seem cool and jobs that pay well and jobs that are with people you like hanging out with.
Yeah.
And ideally, these things will overlap.
Yes.
Sometimes they don't. But,
right.
you just kind of, you try to get a good mix of them.
Okay. Wow, that's very cool. Do you know John Arno-Rise?
Yeah, I've done some work with him, actually. I spent an entire summer making online videos with him in Malta in 2018. That was a very strange time.
Not those kind of videos.
Okay, I was just going to say that I thought that would be like the king of Norwegian football until Erling Haaland came.
Yes.
So upskirts in Malta.
We did like an online daily World Cup thing for a gambling company that I swear to God was really good. We did not find any kind of an audience. Like, it was, the numbers were depressing, but the content was great.
Well,
I have no regrets about that.
Say hi to him for me, because his throw-ins were immaculate.
Who are your clubs?
Tottenham for me in England.
Oh.
I think it's because
Close call.
think it's because of Erik Thorstvedt. We had a Norwegian goalkeeper when I was at that impressionable age, and I have worked with him since, and I've kind of confronted him in the hallway at the Norwegian broadcasting office and said, man, like, if you had like gone to United or something, my childhood would have been a lot easier. Like, really, growing up as a Spurs fan in the 90s, not amazing. And the other one, I mean, all Norwegians will have like their hometown club, and then one club in England is kind of the common thing. And the home club, the club in Norway is called Bryne. They're in the second tier. You've definitely never heard of them unless you're an Erling Haaland stan, because it's his hometown club. But,
okay.
Are they close to you, where you grew up? Like,
yeah, they're the town I grew up.
Okay, literally in the town. Okay.
Yeah, 12,000 people. We have a team in the second tier.
Wow.
My father played a couple of games for them. My grandmother, who's 98, she's still with us. She insists that the first ever soccer ball in our town was in her house when she was young. So they're steeped in local football lore, my family is.
I love it. Lars, it's great to have you here, and we're excited. We'll be no doubt mixing with you guys a number of times.
I hope so.
Often on
Looking forward to
location.
it.